Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Wendy,
Hello.
welcome. Good to see you.
Good
I
to
shouldn't
see
say
you.
welcome. I just, what can I say except you're welcome? So,
Oh,
thank you. You are absolutely stunning off the scale today.
that's
And
very good of you to say. Thank you
the
so
little
much.
old you.
Just something I
And
put together.
yes. And I want to introduce everybody to the program or welcome everybody to the program. See, I'm off my game now. So welcome everybody to the program. We appreciate the fact that you are here. This is Robertson. I am Roberts and she is Robertson, and I will be having to fix that.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness! I've
that
got the wicked name on, not the Robertson name.
yeah.
Quick
Here, I'm going to put
change
my
it.
Roberts up. There you go. And I'm going to put your Robertson up.
Thank you.
And I didn't notice that until just now.
Yes, I forgot.
There you go.
I've got the wicked. It says Roberts.
Uh, oops. Oh, was that Freudian? Oops.
Sorry, Rainey.
It must have been Freudian slip. Here we go, folks. You're seeing the wonderful, magnificent beginning of the show. It's because we have these weeks off in between that we take,
I
and
know.
we've got to
We
get back on track.
have to get back
So
into it.
I was in the middle of just saying welcome to everybody. Glad to have you here today for Robertson. Wendy, glad to have you as always. And everybody, we are going to be talking about, I think something, it started as a conversation about men. Why do men have this particular insecurity in a relation? Here, let me throw up the banner for a second. You can see what we named the show today. Just not that into you. And insecurity isn't just for the other person. Now, imagine trying to keep that all going both ways, swinging both ways, going two ways down the same street. Because we always hear, well, she's not into you, she's not that into you, dude. Or women will hear, he's just not that into you. And so how do we decipher this? Is it that they aren't into us, or is it that we are insecure? And you know what? This isn't just for single people. This isn't just for people who are out on the market and they're out looking to be able to meet somebody or spend some time with somebody. This is for married people. This is for people who've been together for a long time, because insecurity, even though we've kind of beat around the bush, everything here is an innuendo, by the way. I can't say anything when we're talking about things that have to do with sexuality, with romance, and so on. There's everything you say can have an innuendo. So if I smirk at the wrong time, it's because I'm just a child inside my head. So, but I was saying, beating around the bush,
Yes.
we have hit the topic of insecurity. What was that? Can you say that again? I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, but I make no apologies. So, we're going to talk about some of these things today that have to do with things that we've kind of hinted at before or kind of addressed in other ways before. But today, we want to kind of hit this head on because the question came up, and we talked about this for quite a while, Wendy and I.
Yeah, we
And
did.
so, go ahead, Wendy. I'm doing all the talking.
No, darling, you just carry on. I'm just loving it. We did chat about it earlier on because
yes,
it was somebody said to me about guys. How do they know when a woman's into them? And it's actually a very good friend of mine that asked me this, and I said, well, we covered some of that on Wicked Women about crushes and etc. But they were like, yeah, but into them. And I think what you and I were chatting about, there was a movie, there was a book. He's just not that into you. And if the ladies remember Sex and the City. They will remember why Miranda said to Berger, why is this guy, this guy was really into me. We were talking all the time. We were chatting. There were phone calls. We had dates. He was like, I really want to see you. And then the next thing, they stop talking. The messages get smaller and smaller and little, or they just completely disappear. And he says to her, the truth is, he's just not that into you. And she went, no. And she went, think of how much therapy that's actually saved me, because now I've been sitting here for going, what have I done? What did I say? What do I need to do? And she said, but now I realize it's just like, he's just not that into me. And I think sometimes if it's hurtful to know that somebody we like is not into us. And they can show it to us in many different ways, including being, not talking to us, not ghosting us, not sending us messages, pulling away. You feel the energy between you.
Let me ask you, is that feeling a feeling of hurt because the other person isn't necessarily doing anything to inflict pain?
Yeah.
Unless they think you're coming on too often, too strong, and they got to put you in your place. So they're not trying to inflict pain. Do we take that as hurt, or do we take that as, what is that really? What's that emotion that's going on? Are we hurt when we feel that, oh, that person's she's just not into me? Am I hurt by that, or am I, because she's not doing anything wrong? And there was nothing overt against me. So would that just be a feeling of, what does insecurity do? It takes away, and this is where you and I actually, and pardon my hands, folks, I've been tattooing today, and I didn't get a chance to get the ink off my hands. I'm sorry, I'm a dirty man. But
you dirty man.
Yeah, you can put lipstick on a pig here, but you can't. So he's still a pig. And so we and by the way, before I go on with my thought, hey, Eric Hayes, I hope you're still out there. He's checking in from vacation. Allison, good to see you. Sandra, nice to see you. And GB Saunders, is that Sandra? Is that you as well?
No, I think that's my friend. I think it's my friend.
Oh, that's your friend. Okay.
Friend, yeah.
Different last name. So I think what we feel is, we feel like, I feel like a dope sometimes. If I'm coming on to somebody, let's say I saw you in a bar and you weren't that into me, and we had gatherings of friends, and coming on sounds so bad because it sounds like I should have my shirt open to my chest, and revealing my chest with a Italian horn hanging around on a chain. I don't mean it that way. I mean approaching you, wanting to make conversation, hoping that there's something that's coming, and then finding out, well, hey, how'd you do? How'd you do with that hot blonde? I don't know. And then you find out later, well, dude, she's just not that into you. And you're like, oh, it's insecurity that is multiplied by rejection.
It really hurts because you like someone. Like I was telling you tonight. Remember, I was saying, like, I went on a date, and you're getting on really well. You're chatting with them. You have a fantastic date, and you think, this is brilliant. I maybe I found the one, and you start talking to each other, and then what happens is, you have this, like, let's have another date. Let's have another one, and you think, this is brilliant. We're going on a date, and then what happens is, you smell or you taste that energy, and it starts to they pull back, or they're distant. It gets longer and longer between messages. They don't reply to you for hours. That is a sure sign when someone, I don't care how busy you are, you can even send a message like really quick and say BRB or whatever. You can just send a quick message. But if they don't get back to you within a few hours, unless there's something major going on, and obviously if they're in a meeting or something like that, whatever, it's like, and that's been left either on red or it's been left on not red for a long period of time. They're probably going, oh, they're choosing not
Right.
to open that
Right.
message. And also, you just feel that energy change. And I think for me,
Yeah.
it was like, we're going to meet. And then, and you think, well, maybe he's just not into me. Then you have to think to yourself, is it because, some people say, some women say it, some guys say it. Yeah, but if they actually meet me, they're probably not going to be into me.
Right.
Or maybe
Right.
I'm not enough for them. Or
Well,
maybe
are we
she,
setting ourselves up when we do that?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
So if I go and I want to meet somebody and oh, we've been talking, we've never met face to face. Let's go meet, and then it's, oh my God, what if she doesn't dig me? Or what if everything's been great, and on our social media chats and all of that, and now we're meeting? What if she doesn't like me? What if she looks at me and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're great from the neck up, but the rest of you looks pretty nasty," or you don't smell right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing too, and I don't mean that in such a negative way. Because some people just have. Frankly, I've gone out with women in my past that it wasn't an offensive odor. It wasn't, and nothing clicked. Not even the smell, not even the perfume. I'm sure she put that perfume on thinking that was going to, and I, to this day, can identify certain perfumes. I can be walking with Rainey through a crowd at the mall,
Yeah.
and somebody will walk by and I'll go, I smell that from 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
A scent that I was like, oh, that is obsession for women or whatever it is. And I didn't like it or whatever it was. So there are things that aren't necessarily offensive in general that could be, you go, that's not the person for me.
And I also think, like, when you go out when you meet someone, you're like, does my breath smell? Do I smell good? Do I look too fat? Do I, you've got all these
Right.
insecurities because social media and life these days actually makes, there's all these apps,
Right.
we've all been there. We've all used the one that reduces the lines slightly, whatever. And when I was on, dating sites, people would say to me, that's not you in your photograph. And then they'd actually see me and go, actually, it was you.
Yeah,
And
that is you.
I think there's a lot of people that don't, that maybe put a photograph up of like 10 years ago or maybe 20 years
Sure.
ago. And then suddenly they get to meet you and you go, you don't look
You're
anything
like,
like that.
yeah.
Who are
Aren't
you?
you 24 in your picture?
Who are you?
And I'm not on the dating scene anymore and haven't been for a long time. So I don't worry about that. So when we talked about, dating sites and stuff once, and I said, I am
It's
so
wild and happening
out
on
of
the dating
touch
scene.
with that. But I try to always on my social media, what you see is what you get. This is who I am. And I'm not out there trying to win a partner of any kind. But I'm out there making friends and I'm meeting people and I'm doing business and,
Yeah.
whatever comes with all of that. And it's like, I want people to look at me and go, yeah, you're as old as you look, and now, I've got a good story. It's not my story. It's Rainey's story. And this was a story she told me before we were even dating. As you know, and I've mentioned it before, I used to throw a little gathering at my house every Thursday night. And it was dubbed Scotch and Cookies at Scotty's because I would serve scotch and I bake cookies. I was a single dad. I had 3 kids at home. I was a sole custodial dad. And once a week, I'd have this get together, this gathering. And it started with belly dancers from the Renaissance
As you
Festival.
do, as you do.
As a naturally. And then it expanded to the belly dancers and guys from all the Irish bands and the little bands, and then other people. And we'd have 30 people at my house every Thursday night. and I'd serve breakfast to a good handful of them before they went off to work in the morning.
So
And
gutted that I never got
I'd
there.
make
So gutted.
pancakes, or waffles. And so all of that as a backdrop, Rainey used to come to Scotch and Cookies. And she came in pretty late one night. It was about 10:30, and she was dressed very much like I see you today, Wendy. She's very, very um, cleavagey. Not
Cleavagey.
cleavagey.
Is that even a word?
It is now, but she was cleavagey, and she had the little short-sleeved black sweater. The short sweaters that women wear. And
Yeah.
they can button one button, and it's got kind of a shorter sleeve and
Yeah.
a kind of a I wanted to say a corset, but not a corset. It's like a bustier, and it was kind of this red
Yeah.
paisley shimmery thing with the black sweater. And she has that thick raven hair, and she came in all cleavagey and dressed to the nines, and she was a little bit in the bag. And so one of the other guys there, we always admired the belly dancers and the women that would show up at Scotch and Cookies, and I liked Rainey anyway as a friend. And she came in, and she said, "Yeah." And she's standing between my buddy and I. We're all in the kitchen. There's people all around us, and he's over there, and Rainey's here, kind of sideways to us, and she's talking and she's looking down, and we're just noting and I'm sorry, everybody. I got to put it this way, and I'm sorry, Wendy, but I make no apologies. The heaving mounds of flesh, every breath she took, or whatever. We were guys, and we're like, wow. And so she's telling a story that she had to, and I took this off of Sandra's little post there, and something you said that she met this guy online.
Yeah.
And had been chatting with him, and he wanted to meet her. And he was a neurosurgeon or something. I mean, this all sounds so cliche, doesn't it? Now,
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is like 21, 22 years ago. And so she goes out to meet him, and they're supposed to meet at a little place in St. Paul, up in the very rich, the old mansion district up above the St. Paul Cathedral in St. Paul, Minnesota, right by the Capitol building and all that, and a little place called Moscow on the Hill. It was Cathedral Hill, the big strip up there, and really nice place. They made homemade all this variety of vodkas. Well, she said the guy doesn't show up, and I'm waiting, and about 45 minutes in, the bartender says, "Can I get you a drink, young lady?" And he asked, and she told him, "I'm waiting for a guy and he's not showing up, I guess. And maybe he looked in the window and didn't like the way I looked or something." And he proceeded to ply her with alcohol, well, homemade vodkas. By the time she got to my house, it kicked in and she was hammered. And so she was still lightly inebriated and hammered by the time she was telling the story. So all of that to say that big, long, dissertive story is that she was led to believe she was going to go meet a guy who was a neurosurgeon.
Who was into her.
And was into her.
Yeah.
And he never shows up, and she never hears from him again, meaning there was no phone call, no text messages, no nothing. And so I said, and my friend Ken was his name, we're saying, Rainey, we think you've been boonswoggled. You've had the wool pulled over your eyes. Somebody toying with you. And so that happens too. And you know what it made Rainey feel like at that time? She was like, wow. And she's standing there. She's genuine. She says, what if he walked in or looked in the window and saw me here and didn't like him, didn't like what he saw? And Ken and I were like reassuring her, Rainey, there's not a red-blooded male that's going to look at you through the window and have been disappointed. So it was something else. So I had to share that story because there's all kinds of this rejection that goes on. And what do you do? Now, it might not have been a case that he wasn't into her. I rather doubt that guy came, unless that guy, was pardon me saying, a pencil-necked geek, and he sees Rainey and says, yeah, she does look like her pictures. I'm not going in there.
Intimidation. I mean, like, I have been lucky that nobody has ever done that to me.
Right.
Because, but what has happened is the fact that just before you're about to meet them, so like you haven't actually gone to meet them, it's not the day of when you're meeting them, they either stop messaging or just disappear. Or, and I think what it is that, dating is a very intimidating thing. You have to, we're all looking for that special somebody. We're all looking for someone who's going to come along and make our, improve our life. And what's the word? The soulmate, etc., etc.
Right.
The thing is, we've all got our hang-ups, we've all got our insecurities. But I'm telling you now, any woman or guy that really, really likes you and is intrigued by you would be rather trampled by elephants than not turn up, right?
Yes.
And if they start coming up with all these reasons, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I haven't got back to you. I've been so busy with work. I've not been well. I've got some stuff going on. It's been a bit. My depression has got back to me. This could all be true, mind you, but and they give you all these reasons. It's like it's okay to just turn around and say, "Listen, I can't do this." And I remember like. Literally like a couple of months back, talking to somebody, getting on really well with them, and they were just like, I'm going to come down and see you, not didn't live that far from me, but just it would have been like a half-hour drive, something like that. And then nothing. They didn't block me.
Right.
They didn't do anything. They just stopped talking, and you're just like, hello,
is this on? Tap, tap, tap.
Are you dead? Are you dead? So in the end, you just do the most common, decent thing, which is to say, listen, it's okay. If it's not for you, I completely understand. I wish you nothing but the best. And you go out with your head held high. But, I think I've got to a point now where I don't care. I really don't care. When I was younger, very insecure, very vulnerable. And don't get me wrong, those demons can still come out and bite me in the ass from time to time.
The what, Ken?
The demons, the insecurity
demons.
demons,
Okay.
they can come out and bite you in the ass when you think you've just got rid of them. And all of a sudden, it's been 15 years since they came out.
Because of the nature of our show, my head went, I didn't hear you say demons.
Demons.
I heard you say Siemens.
Oh my God.
I thought, what the hell is she talking? Is she talking about naval guys?
No.
Did
demons,
I miss something
darling.
she said?
Demons.
Okay. All right.
Demons.
All right.
So,
sorry, folks, but I
sometimes our insecurities, you've not had them for 10 years or whatever. You think you're in control of them, and then what happens is someone comes along or a situation comes along, and it brings out those insecurities. And you're like, what if they don't like me? What if I'm too? And I remember telling you tonight, we had this conversation about when I was married to my second husband, and he was a good-looking guy. He was younger than me. He was 6'3", around that time, big. And I remember thinking, this is how insecure I was back then. Why is he with me? Like, why is he being with me? Right? Why is he?
Right.
And when women would look at him, I would think to myself, I bet, why is he with me? And I think that's what happens is you start to unravel yourself and you go down a very slippery slope. Now I don't care. And I'm just like, if you don't want to be with me, that's fine.
And I did the same thing. I learned those lessons the very, 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 very hard way along the way over the years of the insecurity lesson. The lesson about she's just not that into you and not taking it badly. When I first saw Rainey, I thought, and this is not accounting for anything we know about each other now and personality types an intelligent quotients or anything like that. This had to do with the visceral visual Rainey. I thought she is so out of my league. I'm not even going to ask. That's where I was. I ain't even asking. And I always found myself. Did you ever do this? Maybe you didn't have to. It's different with women because Okay, I'm going somewhere with this, but I see a woman like you, Wendy, and I say that is a woman who could have any man she wants. Just from the visual, the superficial level. I'm not saying you're superficial. I'm saying the picture, the package is one that says there's not a guy that could resist that in the world. Then there is, but so when I say I looked at Rainey or I look at you and I say they're untouchable, it made me turn into a nice guy, meaning I didn't want to ever come across creepy in any way or, hey, how you doing? You must be an angel because you must have fallen from heaven. You don't say bullshit like that. There are guys that actually do.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't do that. I was a nice guy. I actually had a very good friend of mine. I still love him to death. A good friend of mine at that time in the late 80s. That dates us. When we were on the bar scene and doing stuff, and he looked at me once. I bought a woman a drink, and I didn't know, Wendy, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And she was like, "Oh, why, thank you." And then she turned back to her friends like that. And I went, "Huh." Or as Elderberry would say with his 3 strands of hair, "Don't." And so and my buddy Guy was sitting over there. He's sitting at the bar. And Guy Sasso, by the way, he was about 6'2", big guy. He looked like a combination of John and Jim Belushi. And he was a stand-up comic on top of it. And he was from California. So he had that little California little dude. And I look over as I start turning around, and he's sitting at the bar like this, and he's going, and he says, Scotty. He says, when you die, you're going to die single and unlaid, and it's going to say on your tombstone, he died a nice guy. He said, you're too nice. And he said, you know what you need? You need like an industrial accident or something. And then form your personality. So that is what developed in me. You know what made me a nice guy? My insecurities. Because I didn't want to come on strong and get rejected and recede into my cave, and it was, and I didn't like that. And I've been rejected enough that I learned those lessons. And so I started just becoming myself. And, years later, and it's like, I didn't care anymore. Mm-hmm. I didn't care. There was some of it, but after a while, you have to work at ways to overcome the insecurity. And then, now, unless you have something else to add, I want to shift this into relationship mode. Can you do that like a genie? Yeah.
Yes, Master.
Don't even say that to me. So,
yes, Master.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
I remember that.
Wendy's going to wear this cute little pink veil-y outfit she has.
I could do that for Halloween. I can totally put the I Dream of Jeannie on. That would be cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Robert Bauer said, I always led with my loquacious, cunning linguist lips and tongue licking my eyebrows. I think there's probably not a lady in the room right now, Professor, that is not swooning.
So, he's got away with bread, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Field Guy said this goes back to last night with the 3 wishes. I said last night, I was saying, what would I wish for if I had 3 wishes from a genie? It's just going back to the genie. So let's move this over into relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We get insecure in when we're out dating. We get insecure out there when we're turned down. When she just thought that into you. Can relationships get to a point where she's just not that into you, dude? Or he's just not that into you, Wendy? Or whatever. Where those insecurities start to rise up in your relationship because all of a sudden you might be a few years down the road and you're saying, this looks really familiar. Why am
Yeah.
I getting this feeling of rejection or this feeling of, oh my God, she's not that into me?
Professor
You
Bauer,
know,
I can't actually believe that you put the word moist.
did I say moist?
Professor Bauer is like, really?
Sorry, but I make no apologies.
The thing is,
So,
insecurity and rejection suck, and we're all worried about it. And what we tend to do is self-sabotage before we even get to be rejected or sabotaged by someone. We
right.
tend to sabotage it. We go, she's not going to be interested in me,
Yeah.
or he can get any woman he wants. And
Right.
actually,
Right.
that is not true. We can't always get anyone we want. We can't always get every guy or every woman that we want. And sometimes, it's people think that we're sort of having all those opportunities, and we're absolutely not. We're spending most of our time at home, watching the movie channel. And I think that it's very important to realize that every one of us has insecurities in one way or the other, and we all self-sabotage. I am a classic self-sabotage. Before you get hurt, before they change their mind, whatever, pull away, become distant or whatever.
Sure.
And I have to fight those demons sometimes and go, I know you're there, sod off, I'm not interested. And I think with guys, that relationship, Paul, like, when you're in a relationship, that's when things start getting really, really tricky, because you're then with somebody.
Yes.
You haven't got to win them anymore, but you have to keep them. That's the difference.
And isn't that one of the dangers of men in relationships because of the way we're physiologically wired? I'm sorry, all you LGBTQ trans people out there. I disagree with you on many points, but one in particular is that men and women are the same. It's just a choice you want to make. Men and women are completely different animals. And we are, men are hardwired different than a woman is. We call that physiologically wired. And one of the things guys will do is they are always on the quest to win, the conquest. This is oversimplification, but the conquest to win that woman. Oh, that woman, that's the one I want. And the conquest to win. What happens after the winning? The winning might turn into dating, the permanent squeeze at home type of thing. And you can already see in those phases where men will start to slack just a little bit. I got her. She's in my pad, man. I feel so Austin Powers. She's in my pad, baby. And
it's swinging, baby.
Baby. And oh, behave. So yeah, there it is. I can't dance, so I can't do that.
I don't believe that.
Anyway,
this whole show's kind of shit.
Get down the road into marriage.
Yeah.
And a guy, I mean, look at my fat roll.
We're all doing that, babe.
I'm a married guy, and I got this enormous fat roll. It's like, where did that come from? And I got, oh, behave, Wendy. And I've got this enormous fat roll. And so, this is what guys do. They get slovenly. They have the fat. They get heavy. You know why? They're not on the market anymore.
Yes.
I don't have to impress the chicks, he says. And I'm using a lot of stereotypes here in this, but um, for the most part. Now, that doesn't happen to everybody. Of course, there are men and women that love working out together and getting in shape together, love doing their thing. And so and what am I trying to say here is that men tend to let loose and let go.
But
And
women do
women
it
are like,
too. Women do it as well. Like,
you're
literally,
right,
you
right,
wear your jogging bottoms all the time, or your PJs, and sex goes out the window or whatever.
right.
And literally, hi Keith. It gets to the point where, like me, like I've been single for a while, and I've not been too well, and you have those low days, and all kind of stuff, and you end up perhaps eating stuff you shouldn't, and you go, oh my god, and then you think, right, I'm that's it, everything's going in the bin, I'm back on the juicer, I'm losing the weight, because we all let ourselves go. All of us let ourselves go.
That's right. We do. And I get that. And I know that to a certain degree that we all do that. So, um, I am right now, I am 50 pounds heavier than when Rainey and I started dating. And when I met her, I was 50 pounds lighter than I am now. I would bicycle every day. I went out and did a 6 to 12 mile track every day. And um, I can't believe I go and I tip that scale. I can't believe the amount of weight I've put on since I met Rainey, which was now 20 years ago. But
I would suggest getting the Bridget Jones big pants, because
big pants.
the Bridgets, the big,
Oh,
because us ladies, we all have a pair of Bridget Jones pants in somewhere, and it's like, put the Bridgets on, ladies, and you're like, and all of a sudden you're breathing in, and you've got this great figure, and men don't have the Bridget Jones pants.
no, we don't.
Don't.
No. And most men who and I have a pet peeve about this. Now I have my slumming days, where I want to just dress like like a freak that digs his clothes out of the dumpster. And but most men, when they are comfortable in their relationships, and I'm sorry, all you guys who dress this way, guys that'll take sweatpants that are
Yes.
cut off at the knee or just above the knee, and they wear those, and they wear a tank top or a sleeveless t-shirt with all
Yeah.
their armpit hair hanging out. And they will not shower as often, or they'll get up on a Saturday. I'm just doing yard work today, so I don't have to shower.
Yeah.
And he draws flies, and then to top it all off or bottom it all off, they're wearing sandals, and
Oh,
they've got nappy toenails and toes sticking out of their sandals, and they're like, "Hey, honey, let's go get some lunch." And they don't think twice about the way they look. And the wife is like, "You're gonna wear that?
or
Like,
as
you're
we
gonna
say over
dress?"
here, the Jesus creepers, the
There you
sandals,
go.
the JCs. And when I was in
Yep.
Canada,
Yep.
every guy over there, and I think it's in America too, they all wear caps. Everywhere they go, got a cap on, got a cap on. And I'm like, do you guys actually know? Like, when you go on the dating site, when you're in Canada and you see all the Canadians, cap, 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 cap. What is it? What is it with you guys? Like, do you not have any hair? Do you not, like,
Yeah.
know how to take a great photograph? It's like, let's just put a cap on,
Caps.
you
Yeah.
know? And I think that we've reached a point. Why is it? And I just want to bring this rant in. The older generation, I saw an older gentleman walking down the road today, waistcoat, jacket, looking so smart, real smart. And I thought, I wondered what today's generation will look like when they get to that age. Will
Yeah.
they look like that? Will they have any class, any kind of, or will it just be God knows what it is? But I think that we do let ourselves go. And then, I see in the hot summer weather, this is the worst one. The guys with the bellies out, right? No
Oh
t-shirt
my goodness.
on, no t-shirt on, and they got their belly, and you're just like, please, like, please put that
See,
away. And then they got the ass crack as well, like, as we like to
I
say over here, the crack of the bum.
yes. There's one thing my wife can thank her lucky stars for is that I don't like going out half naked in public. It just doesn't work for me because I know it doesn't work for anybody else out there.
Yeah.
So, uh, it took a long. We were at Disney World with the whole family, all the kids and the husbands, and like, come on, Dad, get in the swimming pool. I said, no, no,
No.
I do not take my shirt off in public. I just don't look good enough to do that. And it's not like, come on, Dad. They're saying you don't have to look good. I go, well, thank you for that, and thank you for confirmation bias there.
Yeah.
And they finally talked me into it. Well, Dad, you don't look so bad. I go, I look absolutely horrible. It's a personal thing
Yeah.
because I'm not toned and buff anymore.
And that's the thing, you
And
start to eat yourself away, and you go and you look in the mirror and you go, I hate what I see. I don't like the cellulite. I don't like the wobbly bits. I don't like the belly. So for instance, for me, I mean, I hate bikinis. I like bikini tops, hate bikini bottoms. So I always have like a bikini top and then a sarong. And that's me.
how you doing?
How you doing? And
How
then
you
you got
doing?
then you want to get like the swimsuit, which pulls everything in and pushes
Mhm.
everything up, so you feel confident, because we've all done. I mean, I don't ever want to be in that situation when I was in Italy and topless, and someone comes along and goes, "Morning."
Well, hi, Wendy. How you been? Oh
No,
my. Oh, is this a topless beach?
but let me tell you, like, there's a lot of people on those nudie beaches, and they just let it out. And you've got one breast going that way, one breast going. They look like udders off a cow, and the guys are just hanging it out, and you're just like, I can't unsee that now. I just can't unsee it.
Oh,
They have no
yeah.
security. They have no
When the
insecurity.
guy's nude and he just go, well, hey, Wendy. Wow, don't you look nice nude? Hey, look, I'm nude too. You're like, well, no.
No, I was not nude, but at the time I was in Italy and I got away with it because I was over there. But what I'm saying is, there are some people that have no shame
Yes.
and they have no insecurities. They don't care how
Yeah.
they're seen. They're like, this is my body. I'm very comfortable with it.
I always say I don't have a lot of insecurities anymore because I don't care anymore. But I have insecurities. There's certain things I will not do. I won't let my junk hang out on a public beach. It's just not a thing I do. And I know it's getting you all hot and bothered, right?
It's the junk, you can't really call it the junk, right? Yeah.
You
want to get your man out.
And guys, when you start to get to my age, you worry about what's hanging lower, because you're getting old.
Yeah.
And, I went out in shorts the other day and I said, I don't like wearing shorts in public because my legs, they're fine. They're muscular and they look very good and I am powerful. But they're old man legs now. They're white and pasty. And every little, like you got, what is that? Oh, I got a spider vein on my leg.
There's a varicose vein.
It's like, what the hell is that? And so insecure.
Damn it.
I didn't have those when I was 25.
Excuse me.
So, and it's not like I'm riddled with them. It's just you look and you go, oh my God, I've got old man legs. And and some people go, well, when you're old, you just live with it, just go with it. No, I don't like that. It's like, well, what's next? Liver spots? Yeah. So, you get all this stuff going on. And these are the things that make men insecure. And I'm sure women have the same kind.
Well, you do, because you're like, women are judged. Absolutely, women are judged on their looks. And I think if you're over 40 to 45, like, do you know what I hate is when someone starts chatting to you on Bumble or whatever, and they go, you look great for your age. And you're just like,
for your age.
Delete, right?
You're like, okay, that was not a compliment. I don't know if you realize that, young man or young woman, that was not a compliment.
So what you're saying is I don't look half dead. And
you're such a fine looking old man. I had a stewardess say that to me. You are a fine looking old gentleman. And I'm like, thank you. I think. Um, so, you know, what did Robert Bauer say? Oh, when you're, yeah, yeah, it's pretty much that. You know, you've arrived. So, let's see. The Dead End Collectibles. He says a geezer does not mean the bassist
Robert Bauer
from
in
Black. Oh,
England,
the bassist from Black Sabbath.
the geezer does not
A
mean the.
geezer does not mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't mean that here either. I will say. So
But
Barbie D says,
it does make you insecure.
Sandra, I
Really?
never talked to any guy on here anymore. About 3 years ago, I was stupid. And I guess I gave more info than I thought. And he took my Facebook and I was blocked from Facebook for 6 months.
Wow.
Holy crap. Yeah. I don't talk to many people on
But we
Facebook
get
that I
judged.
don't
Like,
know.
I'm sure the ladies on here will agree with me. You get judged on your looks because most guys, if they're absolutely honest,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's a percentage, 10% maybe. Most guys want a woman who looks damn good, great figure, sexy as hell, right? And they want that. They do not want motherly, with like, they just don't want that because, and it's the same as women. If we're honest, if we're 100% honest, some of us, 10% maybe, we don't want, someone who's, how a fat,
Sure.
what's the guy? Austin Powers plays Fat Bastard, right?
Oh, yeah.
We don't want a fat
My
bastard.
belly.
We, we want someone who's more like, got everything's in proportion and, it looks great. Although having said that, because it's all about attraction. It's all about, I need to find someone physically attractive as well as mentally attractive. And that's really true. I mean, let's be honest. We're not being
and that's okay to a certain
100%
extent. It's okay to a certain extent to say, if I'm going to mate with somebody potentially forever, it would be awfully nice if they looked good. I would love to roll over in bed in the morning and go, wow.
Yeah.
And I am the luckiest kid in America, kind of reaction. I remember when I was, this is way off topic, but on topic, back in the early 90s, I was part of, with our church, I worked with men's groups. And I was leading a certain small group for men. And it was a men's group that was kind of focused, most everybody it was on guys in troubled marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an organization. Now, you may have heard of this, Wendy. I know some of you out there have heard of this. Back in that era, the mid to late 90s, there was a big organization in America called the Promise Keepers.
No.
And it was all men.
No,
and it was about men mentoring men to be men of faith, to be men that were faithful to their wives, men that were faithful to their families, men that had, I even wrote articles on it, the 4 pillars of masculinity. That true masculinity, I would say, is masculinity that has a tender side. And your wife needs to see your family and so on. All of that. That's what this group was. And this group, by the way, they'd throw these rallies, these events, and they'd pack a 75,000 seating stadium in Minneapolis and big cities all around America. Well, anyway, we had one of the speakers at this. He was a black pastor, and he said, and that what made me think of it was saying, it's we guys, we want to roll over in bed in the morning and look at our wife who's looking all nappy and her hair's stuck up and she's got bad morning breath and pasty drool face on her pillow and all that, and still turn over and look at her and go, wow, I am the luckiest kid in America. And this black pastor said, he says, guys, surprise your wife now and then. He said, I, the other day, tried this myself. He says, be in awe of your wife. And he said, the other day, My wife walked in the room. I was putting on a shirt and tie, and she walked in the room, and she was just normal, average. She wasn't all dressed up to the nines. She walks in the bedroom looking for something, and she walks in, and I look at her and I say, "Oh, wow, I am in awe of you." And he said, she looked at me and she said, "What the hell you been drinking?" And, he said that was her first reaction was, "What are you on?" And he said, "No." He says, "But you do this. You make your wife know that you are in awe of her, your partner.
Mm.
No, that you're in awe of them. I'm in awe of you. I would share you with the whole world if I could, but I don't because I don't want to do that. But it's the idea of I want the whole world to know. I want to stand on the rooftop and scream it."
Well,
And
there's very few people that want to do that. I mean,
well,
let's be honest.
right.
You can
What
count them on
happens
one
to men
hand.
and women? What was that? You were showing a ring?
You can count them on one hand.
Oh,
The people you know in your life that actually do something like that, because most
right.
people don't even want to, like, we're not dating, we're just seeing each other, or it's like that guy sounds like he really was looking at his wife going, wow, I'm so lucky and you're
Mm-hmm.
amazing, and I'm pinching myself that I'm still with you, and she's thinking he's pissed because obviously like he's probably never said that anything to her.
Right.
But I think when we're in a relationship, to bring in some of the things about when a guy's or a woman's not into you, when you're in a relationship or when you're not in a relationship, there are signs and symptoms when someone just isn't into you anymore. And one is, they stop asking. They stop asking things like, how's your day? What you've been doing? How's it going? It's kind of like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right. And you just feel like they're not interested. They take no interest in what you're doing. It's just like, yeah, whatever. The other thing is they forget things. Did you not remember I was going there? Did you tell me?
Right.
Oh, I can't remember. Straight over there. Another one, they don't call you. They don't text you. They stop ringing and texting
You're
you.
talking in
And
relationships now, right?
yeah, because
Yeah.
when you're in a relationship, how many times do you say to your partner, you don't call me anymore, you don't ring me as much, we don't even text each other anymore, unless it's like, did you take the bin out, have you picked the kids up, how much money have we
And let me say to any guy out there listening to this that's in a relationship with a woman that's married, especially, why the hell would you do something like that? Why would you let a day go by without telling the woman that you married, that you love, maybe even had kids with,
100%.
the woman that you sleep with, the woman who makes your rubber back, when you don't want to, or her feet, but the woman of your choice? Why would you let a day go by where you wouldn't look at her and go, "Hey, I love you," and or in whatever tone you want to do it? I have always been somebody who I want to get up in the morning, and if the kitchen's a mess, I want to straighten it up before my wife gets up. So my wife can get up and see she doesn't have to rummage looking for a coffee cup in a pile of dirty dishes and then have to wash her coffee cup.
Mm.
I want that all clean. So she gets up and look, I have made coffee. I
Because
give
when
you
someone's really
I give you
interested
coffee,
in
you'll
you,
give me your love.
when someone's really interested in you, they want to do things for you. They really
Yeah.
are interested. They'll ask you questions about, how's your day going? Come here. I want to hear all about your days. And how
Yeah.
many people forget their anniversary, or, oh, what? It's our
Right.
anniversary tomorrow, or it's our birthday. They just forget. And then obviously, as you say, we've done the you don't call me, you don't text me. And then there's like, they're not trying to get in your pants.
Right. And
It's
and that's the way it's interpreted sometimes, even by my wife. Oh,
But
you
unless
did
they're
that
trying to be
because I
celibate,
know why you did that. You want some. And I'm
because
going,
you
well, of
want,
course
you
I
want
want
to be
some. But
wanted, you want to be attracted and you want to be wanted. But Scotty, I said this before, if someone is not trying to get in your pants, They're either saving themselves for the nunnery or the monastery, or there's a reason why they don't. And it's like if they
Right.
stop holding your hand, or she stops holding your hand, or she stops kissing you, or pinching your ass or anything like that, there is a reason why.
Let me just say to Professor Bauer, we haven't gotten there yet, Professor. Stay with the show here.
Yes,
Keep
stop
up.
running
We
along,
just
Robert.
don't
Stop
rush
running
us.
along.
We're getting there.
He's always like coming in and running along with things. And
Yes.
get back, young man, get back.
We're getting there.
And the other one is they talk to you. They talk about you to other people.
Mhm.
And, people say, do you know what? He never stops talking about you, or she never stops talking about you, because it's, and not just in a nagging way, like, do you know what? Scotty really pissed me off last night. He really made me so angry. They're like, they're doing it in a pleasant way. That's how you know that they're starting to look at you in a completely different way, and where you were so special and so like, oh my God, now they're looking at you going,
yeah, I'm not all that anymore. And and it's
not
one
that
of those
into
things
you.
where you say that where she just ain't that into you anymore. When
Yeah,
you're deep in a relationship and you start to feel these things and you get those
yeah,
insecurities building up. And it's like um husbands, do you hug your wives and kiss your wives? Send them on their way. Sometimes a little pat on the ass, There's nothing wrong with that. Wives, do you hug your husbands and kiss them and make them feel like they're wanted? Do
yeah.
you know one of the major needs of the human male is to feel wanted especially by his mate?
Yes.
And do you know what happens to a man who doesn't feel wanted by his mate or appreciated or thanked or whatever, or even just a hug, a prolonged hug? You know what happens to that man? He will feel like he's not very good. His insecurities will rise. And if they
Yep.
don't, it's because he's detaching himself. He's
And
like,
it's
I'm detached
it's
from that, and I'm good just like I am.
it's the same with women as well, though. I mean, like,
Same with women.
I was married for 6 years, second time round, and I could count the times we got intimate. And literally it was like, so you just don't want me then? Actually, no, I'm just not into sex. Excuse me? Did you not tell me this before we got married? But I think what we need to do is stop drop the desire to change people, because you cannot change people.
That's
and you
right.
have to acknowledge the fact that you're not okay with what you're being treated, or how they're treating you, and you should actually focus on what you want and what you need and what you're not getting. And if that person's not into you, that really is their issue, not your issue.
Right.
And if it is your issue, if you think, well, in a relationship, I must have done something for them not to be into me, you have to ask them outright. You have to say what's going on,
Right.
because anyone who's really into you will find you fascinating, Scotty. They will respect you. They will listen to you. They will pay you attention. They will communicate come hell or high water with you. And they will go, you look amazing. You look handsome. You look so sexy today. Even when you're walking around with your old T-shirt on and your bum's hanging out, right? They will still look at you like that.
Do you know, I dress at home for my wife. Now, not all the time. Sometimes I'll get out of bed and I got a pair of the scraggly cut off black sweatpants that I wear to bed, cut off above the knee, and a big old sweater, big old oversized shirt or something. And I'll stagger up with my hair sticking up or plastered to the side of my head and make some coffee. But when I'm up earlier, I like to be up and I like to look good for my spouse.
That was so funny. Your hair sticking to your head.
Well, it's like, you go upstairs. When you finally look at the mirror, your hair's going,
Well, my hair's normally up like this, like up,
Yeah.
and you wake up and it
I
looks
don't have enough for it to go
you look
anywhere.
like you've
It's
been out a night on the tiles and you've been pulled through a hedge backward because
yes.
our head's normally up, right?
Right. Right.
Um, because that's what it is. Niall, when did you
Yeah,
mean got that
everything's
into
non
you in
positive.
terms of dating? Either.
And Niall brings up something. He said, "Expectation breeds resentment," and I think that's very true.
But we all have
When we
it.
set our expectations here, and our mate doesn't meet that, we're going to start resenting them. And the problem with expectations is we can have our expectations, but we can't expect that our mate is necessarily going to meet our expectations.
Yeah.
And our expectation of our mate might be here, but our expectation of ourself should be way down here. I'm not going to force that square peg into that round hole if it doesn't fit. And many times is what wives will do to men. Men will do it to wives too.
Yeah.
Um, Not to mention the things that, I say I'm out of shape and 50 pounds heavier than when I met my wife. What about there are lots of wives out there whose husbands leave them. Their husbands work in offices and all this. They leave them for younger women. Why? Because, well, hey, honey, I've 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 shagged you several times. You've had several kids, and you got the 60 extra pounds to show it. The secretary at my office is hot. I'm leaving with her. you know that this is what some guys do, and they leave their wives like, thanks a hell of a lot. I For the last 20 years, I've ruined my body having children. I've been a mom, and I'm a stumpy dishwater blonde what's the word, drab housewife, and now you're leaving me for the hot number at the office or wherever because I don't meet your expectations of what I'm supposed to be anymore. Men do that to women all the time, and women do that to men, not as much, but they do it too. And it's not so much the infidelity with women. I remember when I was in ministry and we would talk about this stuff, other pastors, and they I had one pastor friend who said, I am of the firm belief that if a couple gets divorced or has problems after, I can't remember what he said, 5 or 6 years into marriage, he says you can pretty much almost 100% of the time lay that squarely at the feet of the man. Because it's the man is the one that detaches. The man is the one that doesn't do anymore, that's stopped conquering. I don't have to conquer my wife every day because I've already got her. And she's like, maybe sometimes she wants to be conquered. No, I'm not
We
giving
still
this away.
do. We still do. We still like to be
Sure.
wanted and chased and flirted with and
Right.
dated and conquered, and vice versa. Like guys want that too. Guys want to know that you find them attractive and that you want them, and
Yes.
that you still find them sexy. Because I see so many guys, they say, you never say that to me anymore. You never say that to me. You don't do this, you don't do that. And everybody needs to feel by the person they're involved with
Right.
that they are desired by them, and not
Yeah.
just in the bedroom department, but to be with them,
Right.
desire to be with that person.
Right. And it's like I know some people where the guy hasn't had sex with his wife in a long time.
Mm.
And why? Because she has expectations of him that he's not meeting. And to her, her expectations are perfect. To him, they're like, well, can't you still love me around me not being able to meet your expectations?
Mm.
And so that happens in marriages, and it happens the other way around too. And so I'm not just picking on guys because I'm a guy. I just think it's there's a certain amount of gender vulnerability that I like to get into, just to say, hey, just because I'm a guy doesn't mean I don't recognize that guys create problems, and they do. But like this friend of mine that I know, He's no
Well, I was in that
layabout.
boat. I was in that boat. Like, I was in that boat for 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was like, why don't you want me? Like, why don't you want me?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I do. But you don't, because I never see you. I never spend any time with you. And you certainly
Right.
don't want any activity. And it was like, I'm tired. I work long hours. I
Right.
only get one day off. If I work long hours and I only had one day off, of course I'd be tired. Of course I'd want to chill out. Of course I'd want to sleep. But I'd also want to see my partner and spend time with them and show them how much I've missed them and how much I want to spend time with them. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Barbara. That's
See you,
really
Barbie D. Thank you. Yeah, and we all learn things that
I
we
think
should
we
have
all
learned
get to the
years ago.
point where we just don't care. But
Right.
it's like, I just wanted to say that we all deserve someone who thinks we're special.
Yeah.
And if you're not with someone, I mean, if you're with someone who doesn't think that, then you need to put yourself first. And it's really, really hard. We have a problem, a lot of us, putting ourselves first. We go, the kids come first, the house, the wife or the partner, the husband. We put ourselves last. And then what happens is, and especially guys, I see it all the time. The children are first, the wives
Mm-hmm.
put the children first, and then the guy's somewhere down here and he gets forgotten. And I think, guys can get
Hello.
very wrapped up in their work as well. They can get very wrapped up in their work. It's about making money and being success, and they don't put as much time as spending time with their woman.
Mm-hmm.
Unless because you're one of these women that you just want your husband to make loads of money so you can go and live somewhere like, I
Sure.
don't know, Dubai and have
Well,
everything
sometimes,
done.
there's some things that we forget too, is that it isn't always so we can live in a mansion on a hilltop. Sometimes it's I want my husband to provide enough so
Yeah.
we don't have to rent anymore, or we can own our own hovel.
Mhm.
That's might be a hovel and it might be a shithole, but it's ours and we own it. And we can put flowers around it and make it look as nice as we want. And there are some guys, when guys can't do that,
Yeah.
what happens to a relationship? Now, this is morphing into a different topic that we could get into another time. What happens to a relationship when there are those broken expectations and the expectations that aren't unrealistic ones? What does a woman do if she has a man who can't provide for the family, but she thought he could when they were married, and they have kids? What happens then? Should she resent him? Should she break that off and go somewhere else? What about the other way around? What if a guy marries a woman and that woman is a wonderful woman, but there are problems at home with the way she upholds her end? Nowadays, it's like, well, you both have to have jobs. Well, that's only in recent decades,
Mhm.
not even centuries. Yeah, women had jobs a long time ago, ancient times even, but women weren't the main breadwinners as a general rule. And so women had roles and men had roles. And that's where all this stuff originally comes from, is like, now what happens when you rock the roles a little bit and things aren't what they used to be? And how do you even things out and make things work? What happened to the, even though we ain't got money, I'm so in love with you, honey? That song, that old song from the late 60s, early 70s. So is that really a realism? Is that a truism? Can you love each other when you don't have money? Women, can you love your man when, or are you just not that into him anymore because he's not making the kind of living you thought he would make?
See, I just thought I'm old fashioned like this, but
Yeah,
I think if you're in a marriage, there's a few words that keeps coming to mind here: for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer,
right,
in sickness and in health. Why do we even say those words if we then do not follow it through? Now,
right.
obviously, we can all change and things happen to change us along the way, but they're there for a reason, because when the shit hits the fan and things are really bad, That's when we're supposed to pull together and be
Right.
together.
Right.
And when it's going good, anyone can be. Now, Marilyn Monroe said, I think she had this saying, and I've seen it come up a couple of times. If you can't be there with me on my lows, you have absolutely no right to be there with me on my highs.
Right.
Because what it actually means is, if you just want me for the good times and when I've got successes and things are going well, but when the shit hits the fan and I really do need you then, and you're not around because, or you don't want to be there because you're not getting those highs, don't bother. Don't
Yeah.
bother. And I think that's true. We get amnesia in relationships, Scotty.
We do.
We tend to get amnesia and go, oh, we go blind when it comes to love
Right.
or attraction. The neither regions, we are blind. And sometimes they come back and they go, oh, I'm so sorry. I know you've been, I've not shown you much attention. So, for instance, I'm using a guy gets a promotion, he's bringing more money in, all of a sudden things are going well for him. His girlfriend suddenly says, oh, hang on a minute, we can go on that holiday now, we can go and do this. And he's like, well, hang on a minute, all the time that I've been working my ass off and things have been really low, you've been having a go at me, or you've not wanted to spend time with me. He may not have had a partner who's been supportive and gone, no matter what, I'm here for the long term.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how good or bad it is. So then we get amnesia and go, oh, and we bring them back in. And then when the shit hits the fan or things go down again, they disappear again. Why do we allow that to happen? It's the instance in dating. You don't hear from someone, and then you might change your picture on WhatsApp, or, out of the blue, abracadabra, they just pop back in. Hello, how are you? You look lovely. How are things? And you're like, hang on a minute. Do I know you? You look very much like someone I had a conversation with once. And they go, oh, yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. Things got really bad. And it's like, what? Did it not work out with the other woman? Did it not work out with the other guy? And you suddenly just want to come back to me? And
There
I think
it is.
we shouldn't get amnesia.
The wife found out and he had to build a new profile. So, yeah,
we shouldn't get amnesia. Never forget how you have been treated, and never forget how you deserve to be treated, Sky. Right. How everyone in the chat room deserves to be treated. Because I think if we actually went to that and go, actually, I don't deserve this. This is what I deserve. Maybe we might turn things around.
Right. And you know what? I think you can have the final word on that, because I can't add anything more other than to blather on about it to what you've just said. So there it is.
I am at, says Keith.
I am at.
I wanted to say, because I found this quote and it says, if you can't recall how you deserve to be treated, dig back into the hole that was left in you when you were treated badly. Remember how you allowed that person to make you feel insignificant, unwanted, undesirable, not sexy enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not good enough, not rich enough, and not good enough for them. Remember how you were treated and run the other way.
Yeah.
There endeth the message for today.
That's the message for today.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of wonderful psychological stuff pulled up here that I was going to jump into. Signs of insecurity in relationships.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Causes of insecurity, ways to overcome insecurity, how to overcome relationship insecurity, how I should break up with my partner, and stuff like that. And I didn't even hit any of it.
I
know. Here. Let me hit this for a second. You know what this says? This is from a wellness website that's out there. It's psychological wellness. If you're feeling insecure in your relationship and none of the tips that we've listed above on their whole big website are helping, it's time to reconsider your relationship status. If you constantly feel anxious or down because of your partner, it's likely not a healthy relationship for you. And it's time to focus on yourself. And they got these 7 bullet points here, 8 bullet points. Other signs that it might be time to break up with someone include: 1, they put you down or make fun of you in front of others. I know people. I've seen that. I've seen that happen to guys. And I'm like, "Oh my God, dude." Uh, and I'd say to
So bad.
Rainey, "Did you see how she talked about him or he talked about her in front of people?" I try to never in front of people, unless they're people we know really well. You can throw out a dig every now and then, but not a nasty dig.
You don't demean someone.
You don't demean them. I would never demean my wife in public, and nor would I put up with somebody else demeaning my wife in public. You're going to see them's fighting words. So, and I'm not going to brag about being, "Oh, I'm so tough and I would beat the shit out of." I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. And 10 times I wouldn't, the power, I wouldn't allow somebody else to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Number 2, you're uncomfortable enough to talk to them you're uncomfortable enough to talk to them about the things bothering you. Okay, that's a sign that there's problems that might need a breakup. You're uncomfortable enough to talk to them about the things bothering you. 3, they don't seem interested in working on your relationship. 4, they make you feel like your concerns aren't valid or essential. They don't listen to what you have to say. They don't give you time to speak. They walk out of rooms when you're talking. They turn their back on you, in essence. That's what that is. They make you feel like your concerns aren't valid or essential. Number 5, they don't respect your time or your personal space. 6, you don't feel like yourself when you're around them. And 7, you've noticed signs of, I guess that's 8. No, 7. You've noticed signs of emotional abuse, such as gaslighting or invalidation. Now, it's not like these are all a progression of things. It's saying these are all different things that can be happening. You can have any one of these or any number of these together. And if these signs sound familiar, it might be time to break up with somebody who makes you feel insecure, and find someone more supportive. It's always challenging to decide to end a relationship, and this might be your best choice if the negatives outweigh the benefits and there are no signs of improvement. If your partner is causing insecurity in your relationship through their actions, it's essential to take a step back and reevaluate. And if they're unwilling to work with you when you are expressing feelings of anxiety or fear, it might be time to change things up. And I hate saying that because I would never say on this show or my show or me personally, I'm an advocate to anyone to just willy-nilly break off a relationship. So Robert Bauer says the model needs to change. That's it. So we have to change the way things are. And so if you're in a relationship,
But he comes up with a good point when he says rent a relationship, lease a marriage, which means we're all on loan, really. And if you don't take care of us, then that's when someone else can notice us, and before you know it, you go off, right?
Right.
And he says renewal periods very change outs and upgrades are necessary. Very true. Sometimes you do. And Keith, absolutely 100%. I am not an option. I'm a free man. Second option, nor at all to throw back in the junk drawer. 100%.
That's it. So, there we are, folks. There it is. Insecurities. He's not that into you. She's not into you. Nobody ever really says that except somebody who's evaluating what you've experienced. Dude, she's not that into you. hey, he's not that into you. Those are things that other people say about us. So, and it's become a catchphrase almost. So, look at your life, look at where you are, look at what you do,
Yep.
and ask yourself.
I deserve better.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, if someone is treating you like an option, you should be a priority.
That's right.
And not just when the big bucks roll in,
Not
and not
just when
just
the times are good.
yeah.
It's when the times are bad too.
And also, if someone is not into you as well, if somebody is not into you, you cannot make them into you.
Nope.
They have to do that themselves. You have to move on and find somebody who is into you, because you know what? Somebody will be into you. Somebody out there will be into you. They might not believe their luck that they've actually found someone like you. They might actually be pinching themselves going, oh my God, I never thought I'd ever meet anyone like you. And you've been so used to people treating you badly or using you or second guessing you or picking you up and putting you down when they so fit. Someone could be out there waiting for you, and all the while that you're giving the energy on that person who's not, you're ruining the chances of actually meeting someone who's waiting for you, because somebody will want you. Somebody will be into you.
And there was a factor. There's something you said earlier, and I'm just going to bring it up. There's that thing too. Have any of you experienced this, which is part of this whole deal? It's the thing where you say to your partner, "Hey, it would be kind of nice if you did this once in a while, or that, or I touch you all the time when I walk through the room. I touch your shoulder, or I pat you on the butt. You could do that to me too, And then they go, well, here, let me do that. And then you're like, no, now I don't want it, because now I had to tell you to do it.
If you have to ask,
if it was not an original thought with you, I don't want it.
But if you have to ask someone to touch you, or if you have to ask someone, are you into me? Do you still want it? I think the answer's in that question. Because people will touch people they want to touch. They will, if they're into you, you'll know they're into you, because they'll be like, why is it like, older couples from the World War II or whatever, you see them still, bless them, walking down the street and they're still holding hands, and they both drive each other nuts, but they're still together, and they've got through all the
they bicker all the time, but they can't live without each other.
But now it's like, how many relationships will actually end up like that in today's society, when we're a throwaway society? When we are. But also, if you're flogging a dead horse, as Robert has quite easily said, sometimes you do need to, let them go.
Right.
And prostitutes and gigolos have had, I've got to put my glasses on,
work for millennia for a
reason. He's always comes out with those little ditties, doesn't he?
Yes. So, well, there you go. There you go, folks. There you go, Wendy. I think all we can do is keep flogging this dead horse. Not a dead horse, it's a very live horse. We could do a whole nother 2 hours on this tonight and not tap what needs to be said about these things. So look at yourself, look at the way you act.
Yeah.
And look at the way you're treated.
And be treated like how you want to be treated, and treat someone else how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
And we're here every Tuesday for
we are.
all kinds of tips.
Well, almost every Tuesday. So
we're here every Tuesday for information and tips and knowledge and stuff like that. Come to Scotty and Wendy; they'll sort you out.
That's why we're here. It's what we were made for.
We try when we're not on a break.
Yes. All right. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it. We got to get out of here.
Gotta go.
We got stuff to do.
Robert says he flogs himself regularly.
I'm sure he does. We used to call that autosexuality. So
I can't unsee that now, Professor
there you
Bowers.
go. Yes. Yes. Well,
Who is that man
Robert,
watching the comments?
I just have to say I have people who do that for me. So
Who is that man in that comment? Like, who is he?
yes,
And I have to say, Professor, you're growing your hair. I mean, I'm growing mine, but I notice he's growing his hair.
he has. He cut it recently too.
He's getting a man bun or something, right?
I don't think he's got a man bun. I think he cut it.
He's going to get a man bun if he carries on going. Because I was watching his little videos the other day, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, my God, his hair is. I mean, I'm growing mine, but his. And you get to that horrible stage where it's all tufty, which is where it is right now. But I saw Robert Bauer, and I was like, wow, his hair's got really long. So I just wanted to say, notice that.
Did you notice I've been growing mine out too?
I was going to say to you, Mr. Roberts, you look amazing tonight. That you
Oh,
always look so good for this
well,
show. You look fantastic.
thank you for saying that.
You
Something I was
really,
going to
really
say
do.
earlier that I didn't get to when I was talking about dressing. Always dress for the just in case.
Yes.
And so I like to dress. I like to dress well. Maybe.
You look really good. And you know what? You
Well,
should
thank you.
dress for your partner. Just a tip. You should dress for yourself, but you should also dress for your partner because
Yes.
your partner wants to see you make an effort and smell good and look good. And you look great, Scotty. That color suits you.
Thank you very much. Does it
Welcome.
match my eyes?
It
So,
does. And my glasses.
and I will say, as I said at the beginning, you are absolutely beautiful tonight. You're stunning tonight. Thank you. It's
Thank you.
always nice. It's a plus. It's an extra. It's
Very kind of you to say.
and were we married? I'd look at you and go, "Oh, I am in awe."
You'd be like, let's
So
just finish the podcast and get out of here.
that's right. That's right. You ain't getting any tonight for saying
Well,
that, but thank you.
we are not married. We only have this, I am not married. You are, but we
I
are
am.
married to the world of Robertson.
Yes. Yes. There it is.
I'm still
All
a
right,
baby.
guys. It's I'm married to my ship.
I would say I was going to say I'm not sure what I'm married to, but it's like my cat now probably.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, no, absolutely, you look amazing, and I love that blue on you. And thank you
Thank you.
for you always look so cool on here. So
I
yeah,
did this for you today.
there's a difference between the Intrepid radio show
Yes.
and Robertson. Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's all for you.
Saying.
So, all right. Well, let's get out of here now.
We're going.
And if we were in the same room, that would have a totally different meaning. So, but we're oceans apart. Thank
Yeah.
you, Wendy, for a good show. Good time.
Like
Folks, we will be back next Tuesday with hopefully something just as stimulating and riveting and something that means something to everybody here. So thank you for being here. And we're going to get out of here. So in the meantime, all I can say is live long and prosper. See you, Wendy.
bye.